concept assembly line where ideas get to work. Across generations, America's greatest economic successes have come not from timid restraint, but from clear-eyed investment in the nation's potential. In the mid-20th century, it was the GI Bill, the interstate highway system, and landmark investments in science and technology that propelled the United States into global leadership. Today, as technological change, AI, and economic uncertainty, tariffs, reshape the landscape, a new, carefully considered investment could do the same. A federal jobs guarantee. Far from being a radical departure, a jobs guarantee represents a rational extension of America's historical approach to building prosperity. It leverages unused capacity in the economy, specifically the millions of unemployed or underemployed workers who want to contribute but are denied the opportunity by the limitations of the private market alone. It channels this untapped labor into productive activities that meet real community needs and prepare the economy for future growth. Importantly, despite common fears, deploying idle human resources does not inherently trigger inflation. When managed correctly, bringing unemployed workers into employment adds to the productive capacity of the economy rather than bidding up prices. A jobs guarantee is thus not merely an anti-poverty program, it is a practical policy for strengthening economic stability, expanding potential output, and building resilience against future downturns. America already possesses much of the infrastructure needed to make a jobs guarantee feasible. Its nationwide network of community colleges, trade schools, and public universities rooted in towns, cities, and rural areas alike stands ready to serve as the backbone of a modern, responsive workforce development system. Under a jobs guarantee framework, displaced or unemployed workers would be offered immediate access to publicly funded, skills-based training programs designed around the needs of the 21st century economy. Crucially, participants would not be asked to take on debt or endure financial hardship to retrain. They would be employed directly through the program, earning a living wage while gaining the education and experience necessary to transition into future-facing industries such as renewable energy, advanced manufacturing, healthcare, information technology, construction, and skilled trades. Beyond academic education, the jobs guarantee would serve as a national paid apprenticeship system, one that trains the next generation of electricians, welders, mechanics, carpenters, plumbers, and heavy equipment operators. These blue-collar and technical skills are indispensable to a modern economy, yet the United States today faces chronic shortages in many of these fields. By offering guaranteed paid work combined with technical instruction, the jobs guarantee could fill this gap, revitalize middle-class career pathways, and ensure that America has the skilled workforce it needs to maintain and build critical infrastructure. Importantly, this approach would also offer a profound solution to the student debt crisis. Rather than requiring young people and increasingly displaced mid-career workers to borrow tens of thousands of dollars to acquire marketable skills, the jobs guarantee would pay workers to learn. Education and training would no longer be a financial burden, but a financially supported public good, much like roads, water systems, and electrical grids. This model treats human capital development as essential infrastructure investment, not an individual burden. It realigns incentives. Investing public funds in training workers today generates higher incomes, higher productivity, and stronger standard of living. Participants could also engage in a range of valuable community service activities during training, restoring local infrastructure, aiding in education, supporting healthcare initiatives, digitizing public records, and helping expand broadband access. These activities provide tangible benefits to communities while preserving the dignity and self-sufficiency of paid work. Rather than waiting for private employers to solve the twin challenges of unemployment and underemployment, the jobs guarantee would position the federal government as a steady bridge, ensuring that Americans remain engaged, skilled, and ready for the private sector's next phase of expansion. In doing so, it would not only revitalize individual lives, but rebuild the skilled foundation on which American prosperity depends. One concern sometimes raised about public employment programs is the fear of crowding out private sector jobs. If the government provides guaranteed employment, the worry goes, might it displace or discourage private hiring? In the case of a jobs guarantee, the evidence points in the opposite direction. The program is designed not to compete with existing private sector opportunities, but to complement and support them. It offers employment primarily to those whom the private sector is unable or unwilling to absorb, those displaced by automation, economic restructuring, or regional decline. Rather than holding workers in public employment permanently, the jobs guarantee is structured as a dynamic transition platform. Workers gain new skills, maintain work discipline, and build experience, making them more attractive to private employers when opportunities arise. In effect, the jobs guarantee becomes a talent incubator, supplying the private sector with a ready pool of trained, experienced, and motivated workers. Moreover, the public employment offered through the jobs guarantee focuses on areas of unmet social need, public goods and services that the market historically underprovides, such as environmental restoration, community care, infrastructure rehabilitation, and education support. These activities complement private sector growth rather than duplicating or displacing it. By preventing long-term unemployment and skill erosion, the jobs guarantee strengthens the economy's labor force foundation, ensuring that when private investment expands, there is a skilled workforce ready to meet the demand. In this way, the program crowds in private sector vitality rather than crowding it out. In recent weeks, policymakers seeking to defend American employment have turned to tariffs, imposing taxes on imported goods in an effort to boost domestic industries. While well-intentioned, tariffs come with significant economic downsides. They raise prices for consumers, invite retaliatory tariffs that hurt American exporters, and often fail to revive declining industries in a sustainable way. In the process, they can slow overall economic growth and disproportionately burden lower and middle-income households. A jobs guarantee offers a more effective and less destructive alternative for protecting and promoting employment. Instead of attempting to artificially shield industries from competition, the jobs guarantee directly invests in American workers themselves, enhancing their skills, maintaining their incomes, and supporting their transition into the industries of the future. It focuses not on preserving the past, but on preparing for what's next. Moreover, because it addresses employment directly rather than through price distortions, a jobs guarantee avoids the unintended inflationary effects on consumer goods that tariffs often cause. It strengthens domestic demand without weakening international trade relationships. In short, while tariffs attempt to protect jobs by raising barriers, a jobs guarantee protects workers by expanding opportunity, making it easier for individuals to adapt, retrain, and move into new areas of growth without fear of prolonged unemployment or economic insecurity. It is a forward-looking strategy for a forward-moving economy. Beyond simply providing employment, a jobs guarantee would serve a crucial stabilizing function in the labor market. It would establish an effective wage and work standard floor across the economy. Today, the minimum wage plays that role, but it does so imperfectly. It sets a legal wage floor, but enforcement varies, loopholes exist, and it remains disconnected from broader labor conditions. Moreover, during downturns, workers often find themselves unemployed altogether, with no practical ability to demand better pay or conditions. A jobs guarantee changes that dynamic fundamentally. By offering a publicly funded job at a living wage with decent benefits to anyone who wants one, the program creates a real enforceable alternative to low-wage, exploitative, or unstable private sector jobs. Workers are no longer compelled to accept substandard pay simply to survive. They have the power to choose between private sector offers and the public employment option. This new leverage forces private employers to compete not just among themselves, but against the baseline of public employment. To attract and retain workers, businesses would need to offer at least comparable wages, conditions, and stability. The private sector would have strong incentives to improve workplace standards, invest in worker training, and create jobs that add genuine value. Critically, this wage floor would adjust naturally with economic conditions. As inflation rises, so too could the jobs guarantee wage, maintaining real purchasing power without requiring repeated legislative battles to catch up the minimum wage to living costs. In essence, the jobs guarantee becomes a living minimum wage plus dignity, purpose, and choice. The financing of a jobs guarantee would require public investment through deficit spending. Yet far from posing a fiscal threat, this investment would function much like upgrading the nation's physical infrastructure. It would expand the economy's real capacity and future earning power. One of the most persistent misconceptions about public spending is the belief that any increase in the federal deficit is inherently inflationary. In reality, inflation occurs not simply because more dollars exist, but when aggregate demand outstrips the economy's real capacity to produce goods and services. As long as there are idle workers, underused machinery, and dormant facilities, additional government spending aimed at mobilizing these resources adds to output without creating upward pressure on prices. In fact, a jobs guarantee acts as a built-in automatic stabilizer. During economic slowdowns, when private demand contracts, the program would expand, employing those displaced and maintaining their incomes. When the private sector rebounds, many workers would naturally transition back to higher-paying private employment, shrinking the public employment pool without the need for heavy-handed cuts or austerity. The result is a more balanced, less volatile economy where economic downturns are softened before they become deep recessions. This dynamic would make the U.S. economy more responsive and resilient, ensuring that temporary contractions do not metastasize into long-term structural damage. The benefits of a jobs guarantee extend far beyond its immediate participants. At the macroeconomic level, full employment policies create a multiplier effect that lifts the entire economy. Gross domestic product, GDP, is determined largely by how fully a nation utilizes its labor and capital. When people are employed, incomes rise, consumption increases, and investment opportunities multiply. A jobs guarantee raises not only current output, but also potential output, the long-term capacity of the economy to grow without sparking inflation. Consumer spending, the largest component of GDP, would strengthen as incomes became more secure across a broader base of Americans. Business investment would rise in response to a more stable and skilled labor force. Even net exports could benefit, as stronger productivity growth enhances America's global competitiveness. Moreover, a jobs guarantee would bolster economic stability by reducing the social costs of unemployment, costs that are often hidden but profoundly damaging. Increased healthcare burdens, higher crime rates, lower educational attainment, and family disruption. These societal costs act as a hidden drag on growth and national well-being. Reducing them is not just socially responsible, it is economically smart. Crucially, fears of overheating are misplaced. Inflation risk emerges when demand chronically exceeds supply. A jobs guarantee, by investing in both the workforce and productive activities that the private market overlooks, expands supply along with demand. It makes future inflation less likely, not more. In the end, the choice before us is not ideological. It is profoundly practical. A jobs guarantee recognizes what historical experience already shows, that full employment is the most direct, effective way to build broad-based prosperity, enhance economic resilience, and foster national strength. It draws from American traditions of public investment, opportunity expansion, and belief in the value of work. It offers a far superior alternative to tariffs and protectionism by focusing on building human capacity rather than raising trade barriers. It strengthens the private sector rather than crowding it out, supplying businesses with better trained, more experienced, and more resilient workers. It establishes a living floor under wages and work conditions, creating healthy upward pressure across the economy. And it stabilizes growth, reducing the boom and bust cycles that have too often defined recent economic history. The infrastructure is already built. The workers are ready. The financial capacity exists. All that remains is the political will. The United States has never achieved greatness through hesitation or fear. It has achieved greatness by recognizing its strengths, investing in its people, and facing the future with confidence. A jobs guarantee is not a radical experiment. It is a rational investment in American prosperity, an investment whose returns we can no longer afford to ignore. This video is part of a broader project to reimagine public policy for real people, grounded in modern monetary theory, committed to abundance over austerity, and focused on rebuilding the freedom infrastructure of everyday life. If my work resonates with you, share it. Subscribe on YouTube for more multi-format content. Together, we can reclaim what was once built and build it back better.